Hello everyone, I'm here to just give a quick overview and explanation of audio signal flow. Alright, so we're going to start with the basics and the oldest way that signal flow works. So everything has to come from a source. It has to start with a source, right? An audio source. This source can be a multitude of things. It can be a person who is singing. It can be an instrument, or it can be something like a PC, right? You can have a lot of different sources. You can have the actual singing. You can also have the audience as a source, right? These can all be audio sources and inputs that come, right? So now, for an audience and person in particular, they both go into, in general, a mic, a microphone, a microphone. An instrument in general goes into something known as a DI box. If you don't know what a DI box is, for layman explanation, it converts your XLR cables, which is usually what goes into a soundboard, into a quarter inch. But technically, what it does is it turns a unbalanced, which is what most instruments use, into a balanced signal, which is what an XLR is. The PC can go directly into a soundboard usually. All right. So now you have the source, right? And after you have the source, you have to have somewhere to move the source to. You have to have a goal, right? The source has to come out somewhere. And your end goal for a source is to go into the speakers. Yes? So you want the speakers to then go into the audience so the audience can hear. Now, in the most simple way, technically, for most speakers nowadays, they are active speakers. So the difference between an active speaker and a passive speaker is that active speakers have power. You have to plug them in somewhere, and they technically can power themselves. And you can technically just plug a microphone, a DI box, or a PC into it, and you can have audio come out of it. Some other audio systems, or older ones, and specifically, are passive speakers, in that you need to plug them into a soundboard, right? Let's just say, for example, you would need a soundboard in this example, right? So that we can learn the whole flow of sound. So you need a soundboard. Let's say even if these are active speakers, we want to use a soundboard in between. So what you would need to do is then you would plug this microphone via an XLR cable and also this DI box into the soundboard. The PC would also go into the soundboard. All of these things would go into the soundboard. Then the soundboard would output also via XLR cable into the speakers, which then goes into the audience, right? So in the most basic, these are all sources: audience, person, instrument, or a PC. These can all be different sources of audio. Audience, people go into a microphone, an instrument goes to a DI box, PC goes directly into soundboard. All of the and the mic and DI box also go into the soundboard, which then gets processed in here into a speaker, which then it's played out into the audience. Now, every single one of these inputs, a mic input, a DI input, a PC input, require their own individual XLR line. Now imagine like your stage is like 100 feet up this way, and then your soundboard is all the way in the back of the room, right? That's like really annoying. Let's say you have like 10 singers. That's like 10 separate XLR cables, and like no one wants to deal with that. That's like 10 tripping hazards for people to like, trip over and just like have problems with. So now, what is the solution for this, right? How do they solve this? So they created this thing. It's called a snake. So what a snake is essentially is it's just a really long XLR cable, but it's just a bunch of them, like 10, 20, whatever, however many you have, all bundled into one really thick cable. So there's only one tripping hazard and just one cable you need to bring around. And on each end, there are multiple, XLR heads that you can plug into each and every single one of these instruments. right? So how it would look is that the mic would plug into the snake, the DI box would plug into the snake, the PC can plug into the snake, but in general you would have the PC next to the soundboard, so it would still plug into the soundboard. And then the snake would just go into the soundboard. And then you can do each and every individual one. So the snake would go into like the soundboard like multiple times. But there's only two inputs right here, so DI, yeah. But basically, it eliminates a lot of tripping hazards, makes life simpler, makes you more portable, and you can, travel more easily. All right. So now, the problem we had with this, right? This is the very basic setup. It's a pretty good setup. It's very simple, and this is, where we came from audio-wise. But nowadays, right? This is too much work. At least bringing the snake around. Like these snakes are huge. They're really thick and they're really heavy and they're really annoying to bring around. So you still have to get from the front of stage to the back where the soundboard is. So how do you do that now, right? So nowadays they created a technology where you can just do it via Ethernet, right? It can just go by Ethernet. So there would be a middleman called a stage box. This is called a stage box because it's a box it's literally a box on stage, right? So it's just a box that it's just like a rectangle usually that's on stage that you can plug all your inputs into. You can plug your microphone into, you can plug your DI boxes into, right? And now instead of using an XLR cable like everyone else, they use something like a Ethernet cable, right, to plug into the soundboard. So it makes it very simple. There's a very thin line, right? It's very small, and like it's very portable. So you just need to bring a stage box. You can leave that on stage, plug everything into it, and then use the Ethernet cable to plug all their soundboard. And if you want, for most places like venues, they'll have Ethernet ports in the wall, so you don't even have to pull a cable from the front of stage to the back of stage because that can still be a tripping hazard, and you don't want that. You probably have to tape that down. Most places have like a network room where all the internet goes into, all the Ethernet ports all go back into this one network room, right? So usually where the soundboard is and where the stage box is, there will both be Ethernet ports. You just plug the stage box like into the Ethernet port, the soundboard into the Ethernet port. Both the ports will port back to the network room, where then you can connect them, and that still is a line, right? It connects all the way through, and you can still send the signal from the stage box all the way to the soundboard. So this is the main difference between like older systems and the newest, more modern systems. And that is just a quick overview and explanation of signal flow. Thank you.